What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I had some free time today, so I figured I would go check out Five Nights at Freddy 2. This is the sequel from 2023's Five Nights at Freddy, and the story takes place a year later when the group are finding a normality after the events that happened after going to Freddy's pizza place. But one of the animatronic spirits calls back to the little girl Abby to come find them, and then this knocks over the first domino block of terror similar to what we saw in the first one. I actually like this one more because it takes place in different locations outside of the Freddy's Pizza restaurant, and I think once you open up the locations, it just makes for more thrilling things that you can do. And if you see it in the trailer, you know what I mean. They're in schools, they're in like this little parade type thing, and I just love having carnage take place elsewhere in like suburban cities. That's really like my shit. I'm learning about myself that I love me a suburban horror film. For that reason, it kind of made me feel like it was more horror-esque than the first one, because the first one really was focused on the trauma as to why Josh's character, I forgot what the name is going through what he's going through and what even brought him to be a security guard. So it was focused more on that. But this one, we know all that already, and it's just time to let loose. And they do go deeper into Vanessa's character, especially with the reveal of the last movie. Spoiler alert, that the guy who was a killer, dressed up in the animatronic suit, was her dad. And you see how those things have played on her psyche being an adult and even being as a kid, because they do flashbacks to show things of that nature, what happened back then and how it shaped her now. But really, the main reason why I'm doing this review, because overall I thought it was cool. There's nothing to shout to the top of the hill about that you must see. But they added a new character slash villain, creature, whatever you want to call it, to the mix. And man, that shit right there amplified this movie so much. What a cool character. I forgot what the name of the character is, and I don't even want to say it, risking spoiling it for those who are into the lore. I don't know anything about the lore anyway, so I went into this blind and I had no expectations. But whatever character this thing is, I want to do some research on it, because the way they designed it was so damn cool, and it actually creeped me out. There were moments every time this character showed up on screen, I physically found myself going like, ooh, like what is that? And the first one didn't do that to me at all, because it just was the animatronics, which they do other things in this movie too that make it even more scary, and they amplified the horror elements. But this one character, oh man, the way they do the design for when it just looks creepy, and then the way this thing just does everything, its movements and where it takes it, all nightmare fuel. Like, I see that in my nightmares, how scary this thing is, and it actually was a nice scare, to be real. So that's really the sole reason why I'm talking about the movie, because that aspect is worth watching in the cinema alone. They really use this new character to embody the atmosphere of horror. Like, I know this is a kid's movie and a kid's lore, but I ain't gonna lie, if someone were to make an R-rated version of these movies, this shit would rip very hard. I would love to see this thing be bloody as hell and go for the jugular. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm someone who is not familiar with the game and the lore, so there are going to be some things that you might look at and be like, I don't understand what happened here and what exactly does that have to do bridging here. But it didn't do enough damage to ruin the whole vibe or the lore for me. You still can kind of put two and two together through context of the story. And that honestly leads to one of the detractors about the film, is it definitely seems like there was more here, and that there was a lot going on that got crammed into this hour and a half. You can feel the escalation happen pretty quickly. Like, the first 30 minutes was kind of slow to me, because it was trying to build on the trauma of the first film, and it's like, we already got that in the first one, and that was what the first one really latched on to. But then when we get to the 30-minute mark is when the horror elements really kick up a lot, and that's what pulled me back into the story. But you can tell that a lot of the games were tried to be compiled into this movie, and it does feel like there are some missing pieces and things could be expounded upon more. But other than that, I still enjoyed myself and I had a good time watching it, and I will watch it again, and I'll buy it on Blu-ray too, because I enjoyed this one more than the first one because of that character. And if you know what character I'm talking about, you know what I mean. Handled exceptionally well. So if you've seen Five Nights at Freddy 2, let me know in the comments what you thought. Which one did you prefer more, the first one or the sequel? And of course, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, Thank you again. Can't say that enough. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.